Today's guests are Sai Mehtanerak and Lisa McKeefen, two women with a passion for fashion who were shocked by the amount of wasted materials and animal suffering for the production of leather products. This led them on a quest to find the perfect leather substitute and make a difference. Together, they created Hexa Bangkok, the first classy, cruelty-free and sustainable fashion company in Thailand that shows that style doesn't have to come at the expense of others. In just over 1 year, they have designed and created their first shoes and bags, built a compelling brand, and launched into one of Bangkok's most exclusive malls. How did they overcome the challenges of building a vegan fashion brand? And what are their plans for the future? This and more you will hear in this episode. I'm really excited to welcome the two of them to the show. So we're sitting here now with Sai and with Lisa. I'm super excited to have you guys on the show. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And I would like to start with maybe hearing from your side a little introduction. Who are you and what is Hexa Bangkok?
Hi, my name is Sai. I am the founder of Hexa Bangkok, and I'm from here, Bangkokian.
And I'm Lisa, so I'm the co-founder, and I'm half from Bangkok, half from the US.
Okay, and if you guys had to describe Hexa Bangkok in one sentence, how would you describe what you guys do?
We do vegan shoes and bags.
Okay.
Comfortable vegan shoes and bags.
How did this idea evolve to start Hexa Bangkok?
Okay, so that would be me. So basically, my background is a family business. We do leather bags. For years, growing up, I grew up with a family of craftsmanship. We ship bags to overseas, and I get used to seeing to going to tanneries and seeing how the production works with leather, and it came to the point where I felt that using leather has many flaws. First of all, to have a really good bags, have to have a good leather, and really good conditioned leather. You almost have to have a perfect cow. So having perfect cows mean either they're young or they're raised in a controlled conditions. And then, going to tanneries, then you see the environments of how it smelled. It really smelled when you see like dead cow skins and stuff like that. And the toxic environments with the water and stuff. So it came to the point where I felt like I do not want to work with leather anymore. And then I met her, my partner Lisa, and then she did shoes, and I'll get to her to talk about this herself. And then we start thinking about doing shoes, but not made from leather. Mm-hmm. And that was the start of everything.
Yeah, so it was very interesting because I'm used to working with leather, and that's what I always just did. And so when she was like, I don't want to use leather anymore, it was actually a really good idea because when you get leather and you come up with a whole palette of colors every season, let's say you do 5-10 colors or whatever, and the tannery sends you a hide in those colors, or 1 or 2 hides in those colors, and if the color's just slightly off, navies are hard, grays are really hard, browns are hard, very neutral colors are very hard to do, and you have to throw it away. So basically, this animal who died, and got dyed and got colored, like literally is just being thrown away.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so it was just very, it was from a practical standpoint and from like an environmental standpoint, it just made a lot more sense for us to try to use non-leather product, because I would always, in my years of using, because like I said, we always use leather coming from Clark's and Rockport and a bunch of other companies. I always felt bad. Like I was like, oh, can we just use this for something else? But we can't.
Right. That's really true.
And you like literally just throw it away, and you hope that somebody will take the leather. Somebody from your company will take it and make a belt or a bag or something.
Do something about that leather so it's not a waste.
Right.
Actually, something that I haven't been aware of regarding the waste, and probably a lot of people also are not aware of. So, just in terms of quantities, how much usually goes to waste, if you would give a percentage?
Well, I can tell you from a company, like a large company, that the companies that I worked for, we're talking warehouse fulls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just like, and not even going to waste in the sense of like, oh, that's not a good color. It's like, okay, we like the color, we're going to go forward with it, and then the buyer goes, nah, I don't want that anymore. And so then we go, oh, all right, so then the buyer doesn't want it. You know, we can't sell it to these other people because we bought the leather just for this particular customer. So then it just gets put in the warehouse, hoping to be used again. But the problem is that there's a limit. You know, let's say there's only 30 skins or 40 skins or 60 skins or something, and you know, the next season comes along, everybody just kind of moves on from it. Nobody's going back and looking at what was being used before.
Right.
So I remember getting a stock report once of what was in the warehouse, and it was something like 30,000 square feet of leather.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was just sitting, you know, wasted.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept trying to, you know, within the company, I was let's try to use this. Oh no, we can't because
It's
this
last season.
Right, it's last season, or this customer wants this color brown, they don't want this color navy, you know, blah blah blah. It's there's one reason or another, or there's not enough of it, so you can't. It's not like synthetic materials. They have the color has a formula, like paint. So there's a formula. It's like 30% black, you know, this percent this color, da da da. With leather, it's a natural material, so there's variation in the colors. So you have to drum dye a whole lot to get the similar color, and even then there's going to be colors that don't match because the alkalinity or the acidity of the skin just didn't work out.
Right.
So you couldn't just like buy 30, you know, use these 30 skins that are like 2 or 3 years old and then have another 30 skins made because they wouldn't match. And then you have to match pairs of shoes together as well.
Yeah, it's
So
very tough.
there's a lot of factors that go
Yeah.
into it.
If you work in this industry and you're familiar with the creative process and manufacturing processes, once you are aware of these facts, and then you kind of go like, wow, you know, like the way she like, wow, is it that much?
Mm-hmm.
But having said this, we don't want to say that, you know, they are bad people. People who work with leather, they're not bad people. It's just that we are being aware, and then we want to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine, I have a lot of friends in the leather industry and shoe industry and stuff like that. And I remember he sent me pictures of in India. India is a little bit more lax when it comes to human rights and safety and stuff like that. But these men in these, basically their underwear, their loincloths, are going into these huge drums that are the size of this room of leather. This leather, the solution is like ammonia and all of these like toxic chemicals that they have to use to break down the composition of the leather to put that needs the dye to soak into it. So these guys are like, let's say the leather was blue. These guys are coming out just like they're almost naked. They're just blue,
Right.
and they're just covered head to toe because they're going into the drums and pulling the stuff out, and they're throwing out. And so yeah, just knowing all of that, and then just going, well, let's just try not to make as much damage in the world.
Let's find something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so you both come from a different background, but you both beforehand had quite experience with leather.
Yeah.
Yes.
You meet at some point and you say, hey, I don't want to work with leather.
Yeah.
Let's do something about it.
Yeah.
About when was that? How long ago was that?
We met a year ago.
Yeah, it was just over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, October 2017.
And we matched right away. I believe we matched right away. Like there was no arguments. There was no questions. Like
Yeah.
So you basically said, I don't want to work with leather. Let's do something about it. You were, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And from there on, how did everything then start?
So from there on, it was a matter of research because I've worked in China for many years, but not in Thailand. You know, I've lived here, but never worked here. So it was there's this amazing resource in Bangkok called TCDC, Thailand Creative Design Center, and it's basically started by the royal family. And so it's a library literally for creativity. Literally, and it's amazing. And it's like 5 floors. It's the old post office building in Bangkok. And they have this whole area. They have a floor that has just books, like you would expect. And then they have another floor that has just 3D printing machines. You can go in there and get anything 3D printed, whatever you want.
Just for fun.
Wow.
Just for fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. And then another floor is the resources library. So instead of being like, well, we think of it in a resources library, we just think of more books. This is materials, like walls of all different kinds of materials for building, for making clothes, for making floors, for making fabric, for making plastic bags, right? Like tapioca plastic bags.
Mushroom leather.
We found mushroom leather that's made actually in Germany, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Or it is French.
I'm not sure.
So it's a mushroom, and the maximum piece is about this big. 25 euros a square foot. So, well, that's a little bit more than
It's
we
still
can expect.
small. It still has a long road of development to go before it can.
But it looks like tan suede, like the tan, like a jacket. It's actually quite
very
beautiful.
soft.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And there's pineapple leather.
There's pineapple leather made from pineapple.
Mm-hmm. So we did research. We found the leather we want to use. We contacted the company, and then after that, it's the creative process. We start designing and.
Yeah, we contacted a lot of companies, and so the downside to doing synthetic materials is that because it's made in the machine, they have to print it, in a machine. So they have large minimums. So it's not like you can buy 1 or 2 skins or 5 skins, 20 skins. Yeah. So you have to buy, 100 meters, 100 square meters or something like that. So we were lucky enough to get to use that.
Yeah.
So you did your research, you looked at many different options for
Yes.
fake leather, and you found this company, and then you said you started the design process.
Yes.
So I think that's probably where the next challenge comes in, is like, how do you find then the right designs that are in, designs that people want, how do you position your brand as a classy brand, as an urban brand? How do you go about that?
I think my part was I am doing the business part. So we discussed, she's more of a design person. So we discussed what's the brand direction and who is Hexa, like that's the brand called Hexa Woman. What does she wear? Where does she go? And so that becomes a concept. Mm-hmm. And then from that, then the designer, Lisa, takes that concept into a style or a pattern. That would be what I...
Yeah. So she basically just said, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this kind of woman. This is the ideal woman. This is the ideal woman. This is the ideal woman. And then I was like, all right, no problem. And I just basically, that's where we melded. We just didn't, it was no, I don't think you should do that. It was like, all right, yeah, got it. We'll do a 1-inch heel here, a 3-inch heel here, and a 4-inch heel here. Very easy, and just keep it very tight, very small, and just start from there. So,
and also to say in brief is we are the women, we are the brand we create. So what kind of shoes do we want to wear? So that becomes very easy to do. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to design shoes for men, because that would just break our brains. We don't know, we wouldn't know that. So yeah, it's very easy.
We would design what we want to see on a man,
which would be very hard. So for this, it's very easy. We are that woman. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have you have several shoes.
Yeah.
You have several types of bags.
Yes.
That's currently what you have in your portfolio of products, right?
Right.
How do you go about different seasons? Let's say 2019, 2020 is approaching. Do you adjust every year and make new designs, new products?
We're lucky in the sense where it's the two of us. We're not enclosed by this constriction of corporate, you must do it this way, it has to be. We know what the seasons are, we know what needs to happen, within the seasons. So we kind of just, what we did was with the first collection, which is out now, we just basically wanted to do understandable stuff. I wanted to do understandable shoes. I didn't want to do shoes that I would wear myself, because that doesn't mean that anybody else is going to wear them. And then I wanted to, we had a set criteria first we started, let me just rewind. We started with a set criteria, like we want our shoes to be non-slip, we want them to be antibacterial, we want them to be water resistant, we want them to be all these things. We want them to be like enough that a woman in Bangkok can wear them.
Right, Bangkok proof.
Bangkok proof. Like literally that was the criteria, it was Bangkok proof. And if I say that to anybody else outside of Bangkok, they're like, what do you mean by Bangkok
What
proof?
does
that mean?
But now you would know what Bangkok proof means.
That means like monsoon season. It can handle monsoon season. It can handle the broken sidewalks. It can handle the fact that every corner, crevice of the street that you're walking, you have to look down because you might break your ankle if you.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous, you know.
Walking in Bangkok.
Right. So we wanted to make high heel shoes that women are not going to twist their ankles and break their ankles.
Right.
And so we made our heels particularly wide, so it wouldn't be like get in the street grade, you know, or get stuck, you know, somewhere. We wanted to, like, literally you could run in our shoes, in our high heel shoes.
It wouldn't be a further the truth to say that.
Yeah. So we started from this like big, okay, this is what we have to put into these 3 collections, and then from there we listen to a lot of what the customers say. You know, I want a 2-inch heel. I want a 2-inch heel sandal. I want this. I want that. I want this. And so it's, you know, it's a lot of customer feedback, and then because if I could have it my way, there would be 50 collections, all different, you know, to make me so happy, you know, and it might fill up my closet, but that doesn't happen. So we just kind of have to start. It's baby steps, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about baby steps, you mentioned customers already.
Yeah.
I think a question that many people want to start any company, and especially maybe even like a vegan company, would be, I got my product, I got my suppliers, I got my designs. Now, how do I get my first customers? How do I raise awareness for my product? And how do I bring it out?
This is our marketing person right here.
So first of all, I would say you have to have this mindset first. This is something I've just learned, okay? Like, you don't get that from school. I've just learned myself as well as we go. So like, to get people to know about your products, first you have to believe in your product. Because when you believe in your product, you will talk about it. And you start talking to your friends, and then that becomes the friends of a friends, and then a friend. You know, it starts from here.
But let me interrupt. What did we see yesterday? We saw a woman. We were looking at retail spaces yesterday, and I saw this woman. I was like, wow, she's really pretty. And then I looked down at her shoes, and I was like, those are our shoes. Like, I saw a woman wearing our shoes,
which is huge for us because we are brand new. And you know, when you see your babies, like,
that's like, I almost like tackled her, and she was like, "No, just leave
her.
I have to go say something."
Yeah. So back to what I said. How do we start getting people to know about it? You have to believe in your product first, and then your friends will believe in it, and then pretty soon it becomes a belief that these shoes can go far, and then you have a belief to call people up and said, "We have a product. Would you like to see it?" And then you believe in it enough to go to people and approach them with it.
And it's this confidence. Like, she did a cold call.
I cold call people. I cold call like many institutes, many magazines, many shops. I call everyone.
It's this, like, you have to have this. It's cojones. You know, it's balls. You gotta have the balls to do it.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, she has those balls to do it. I'm like, I'm just gonna be the background.
But because I believe in it. Like I said, it comes down to the mindset that you believe in your products, and then you just go out and tell people, I have this thing, you have to try it. It just from there. And then, third thing I would say is having a little connection is good. Like, you need to know who you talk to. Like, who knows who. You would talk to your friend who knows someone and ask them, can you get me in a meeting with that person, this person? So having a connection it's tremendously helpful, right? And then the last thing would be you have a really good team. Like, invest in your team and grow with them. I'm not saying that we are successful. We are far from successful, but develop this mindset that entrepreneurship is a journey, and like stay close to your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for you started around a year ago, right?
Yes.
So you came already quite far, I think.
I would say I think we're happy, but with moments of anxiousness creeps in sometimes.
We always have to remind each other where we've been, like what we've gone through and what we've done, because sometimes you're so much in the picture you don't see the whole picture. Like, look where we started.
Right.
We literally started at zero. No factory, no materials, no supplier, nothing.
Just a concept.
Just a concept. And that alone, and the fact that we have gotten to this point, shows perseverance. It shows the fact that we were lucky enough that we were able to find the right factory, that they support us and believe in us and they want to work with us.
Right. Yeah, I forgot to mention, having a great supplier is also a key thing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to develop a relationship with your supplier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not, you literally have to treat, like, we're a vegan brand, and just because we're not killing any animals doesn't mean that we have to be mean to people.
Right.
So
exactly. We have to be nice to people as well.
Right. So it's about being good to the people around you, and then no matter like how many times you just want to strangle them, you still like grit your teeth and be like, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much. Could you please, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for this. And Thailand, everybody's so, as a culture, it's a very friendly culture, and I'm used to working with the Chinese, and they're a lot more, and so it's very different. But I'm lucky, and we're lucky, because these guys, they make dance shoes, they make tap dancing shoes, they make ballet shoes,
they make sports shoes.
They make sports shoes. They don't make high heel shoes. And the fact that they're like, all right, we're gonna make this work, and we literally sit with the technician, and these guys, sometimes the looks on their faces are like, it's like, you see their eyes just kind of get wide, and they go, okay, I'll give that a try. And
she mentioned a very good point. So, like, back to business, in that perspective, you want to find people who want to work with you. You may have great concept, but then if there's no one who wants to work with you, and what? Nothing's gonna happen. So, like, in that sense, we are lucky that they want to work with us, and they are very welcoming to us.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but I think it also has to do with how you approach people. If you come across as harsh and mean, and you're not going to get anybody.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So we're just constantly grateful. It's just being so grateful. Like, thank you so much. You may not have done a whole lot, but we're eternally grateful for the help.
It's all a positive vibe. Doing vegan shoes with positive people, positive team, positive mindset. Yeah.
So keeping a healthy environment inside the company and outside the company.
Yeah, because what's the point of making vegan shoes, do good things, but then you have disastrous relationships with people around you? It doesn't go together. That would be a fake, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is real. Yeah.
So one thing that I saw on your website that I'm quite interested about is that you guys started a Kickstarter campaign.
Yes.
And I would be quite curious to hear, how did it go and what did it bring to you?
Well, it's funny because I think I put the bug in her ear. All I did was just saying something about these, GoFundMe pages, Kickstarter, these other things. And then I had no intention of doing anything like that, because I didn't feel that we were... I felt like it was too early in this. I mean, that's kind of what the whole point is, right? To do it in the early stages. Mm-hmm. Although some people already do it like after the production is done and whatever. But so my mind was not ready, but she went with it, and she just kind of was like, "Let's do this." And
she mentioned it over a phone call one night, and the next morning I'm like already in it.
She doesn't waste any time.
right? Like, yeah, it's like I was like, I'm in the business part. I'm like, why not? Like Kickstarter, everyone knows it. It's brand awareness for sure. And even if we just want to see what people feels like about our concept, and so we did it for 1 month. People knows about it. Our friends knew about it, and we put $20,000 as a goal. However, we didn't succeed, but we did get orders, and so that gives enough confidence to know that this concept will work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was good too because if you could get somebody who has already done a Kickstarter and talk to them, like that was super helpful. And I was fortunate enough to find somebody and talk to them, and it was a relative of a cousin of mine. So, but it was already like we were already kind of like halfway through the whole thing, and so we were constantly changing the layout of the Kickstarter page. And, first, it's like you want to put out as much information, and then you realize
People want to see pictures.
they want to be treated like, well, I was going to say people want to be treated like 3-year-olds, but they don't. They want to see a lot of pictures. They just want to be able to they want to grasp the concept within 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And I am just as guilty of that. And so I think one thing that we learned was that if you could try to condense everything into
pictures,
just pictures, and get their, and less words, then you're good.
Engaging videos.
And super engaging videos, funny videos, good videos, well done. And we spent a lot of time and effort on the video.
I would say Kickstarter itself is a whole another ball game. Anyone who wants to do Kickstarter definitely have to study. There has its own rhythm, its own game of how to do things. It's not just put it up and it's there and wait for it.
No, it's not.
Not at all.
It's marketing. You have to do a lot of social media marketing. So it's basically like you think that all you can do is just put it out there and you just wait. You have to do marketing. You have to do Facebook ads. You have to do this. You have to do so much social media stuff. And both she and I were both like deer in headlights. Like what?
Yeah, we discovered it all new. So this is how it works. It's not just a platform.
Yeah.
It's a business.
Yeah. And there's one company that I did talk to, the owner. He said when they did their Kickstarter, they planned in their head to lose $200,000. Like if they lost $200,000, they were golden. They were good. And I was like, oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's, I think that's an extreme mentality, but it might be the real world. I'm not even certain of it.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, so summarizing, maybe for somebody who thinks about their own Kickstarter campaign, it's something actually we're also considering for the coming months. And would be one, keep it visual, keep it simple.
Yes.
And then second, focus on promotion.
Yes.
Promoting it in social media,
Yes.
Facebook, and so on.
And be prepared to spend the money on that.
Yes. Treat it as a business project.
Yeah.
Yes. But definitely go for it.
So then, in your case, you didn't reach the 20,000, but you reached your first customer. So people were calling you, writing you, and saying, "Hey,
yes.
We like the products. Can we get it somewhere?"
Yeah. Even like I said, even though we didn't succeed, but it was the first stepping stone for us to go to people and say, "Hey, we were on Kickstarter. Would you be interested?" And they would be interested. And then that leads to another stepping stone. That leads to shops wants our products, and now we are in a department store in Thailand. And pretty soon, should we break the news?
We're going to be like in 4 department stores.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, 4, 3?
Locations.
Right, locations-wise. So I wouldn't deny that. I would say one thing will always lead to another, and never regret.
Yeah. And the thing that's interesting about Thailand is that you guys being German, you already know about Kickstarter, just in general. Is it part of your social like, did you hear about it online?
I mean, I think everybody knows it. It's not that you go there every day and check out new projects.
Right.
But sometimes friends of yours share a campaign that's cool.
Or you just see a Facebook ad or something like that,
yeah,
right?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or here in Thailand, nobody knows what Kickstarter.
Yeah.
No.
Only IT people.
Yeah, only IT people knew what Kickstarter was.
Yes.
Seriously, yeah.
So it was a challenge for us because we were like, yeah, we did this Kickstarter thing, and
And like, what?
Exactly, and
Kick
e-commerce. What does Kickstart mean? We're like a motorcycle, like
Yeah. Yeah.
And your father called it starter kick, I think.
Starter kick, yeah, something. Yeah.
And the thing of it was that the Thailand is a very, like, in e-commerce, it's very new to e-commerce, but it's growing. It's growing faster and faster.
Right.
You know, Lazada, Alibaba bought Lazada, you know, last year, and then so it's like people are starting to, oh, this is awesome, you know, and then they have like delivery services here in Bangkok, which I think is an amazing thing. Like, you can have your clothes delivered from another store, you can buy clothes, you can buy beauty products, whatever, and you know, something like that in the States doesn't really happen. Like, we're talking within the city kind of delivery, you know, and I think that's really cool. So the fact that I think that the Kickstarter thing is like, we kind of hit this little nerve of something that's already growing in Bangkok and in Thailand.
Right.
So that was very cool.
Right.
Actually, going into the e-commerce space in Bangkok, I'm a bit curious because in Germany, if you buy clothes online, you don't like them, you just send them back, get your money back, everything's fine. Is it similar here? Because I think we talked earlier about it. You said, especially with shoes, people want to try them before, before they make the final decision. How does it work when you make a sale online? Can people like try it and send it back if it's not the right size?
Yes. So we basically set up a policy where if the shoes don't fit, you can return within 3 days, and it has to be unworn in a good, perfect conditions. But then again, we have not had any incidents where customer return our products. Yeah. And for fashion industry, I think it has to be, you know, like the term now is omni-channels. You need to have an online platform and also have a store. It has to go hand in hand. And having that would minimize, returns and, stuff like that. Yeah.
In terms of marketing, as a fashion or as a shoe brand, what role do you give to Instagram? Like in terms of creating awareness, is it a platform that you also use very frequently?
Yeah, actually, I would say we are guilty of when it comes to social media. We're good at it right now. Personally, I am not a social media person, and she's not a social media person. So for us, having to do social media is...
She knows a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
She
social media is not a ball game. You really need a guru.
Yeah.
It's not like you can post pictures and that's done. Like, there's another tags to do. And personally, for me or her to post picture and be on the phone all day is insane.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of time.
So to your questions, we are not really good when it comes to social media yet, but we want to be, and we're looking for to excel in this area.
Yeah. And I'm amazed at bloggers. You know, the time, the effort that, especially fashion bloggers, you know, this is their full-time job, right? This is what they do.
It's a profession.
It's a profession.
Yeah.
And for us, it's like we don't have that kind of mindset. Like we're more in, I'm the product person, she's the business manager, you know, so it's like you really need to have a separate team that handles it. And right now we do have a separate team that does that for us. And so it just that's the other thing, is like we came into this not realizing we need social media. Yeah, we need a guru. We need a separate team that does this. And then I'm like, what?
Right.
Why don't we could just put it up online and then everything would be cool.
Yeah, you can't just think of everything can be online and that's it. That's the thing about this whole business. In any business, you can't just put it up and it will magically work by itself. Like, there's a lot of offline work that people have to do it themselves.
So like you picture like you know the little market stalls that they have here in Bangkok. So picture like you see the people selling T-shirts or flip flops or whatever. Just like picture that's what you just do. You just set up a stall, and then you just sit back. And like what do you normally see? You see them usually on their phone. They're not that busy. You know, it's like that's the physical equivalent of being just throwing your stuff online.
Right.
You need somebody going out there waving flags and banners and signs and and saying like, hey, buy our stuff. This is why you should buy it.
Right.
And then you have to like hit a nerve with people. You know, like maybe the vegan thing. You know.
Right.
For us in the beginning, it wasn't like we weren't trying to push veganism. We were just trying to create
comfortable shoes,
comfortable, beautiful, dressy shoes that had these features. And vegan, being we're not killing animals for it was a good selling point for us. But it was just more of our own personal preference. It wasn't.
Yeah.
So
we were actually afraid of saying vegan.
We actually refused to say vegan
because for some people they are put off by the word vegan.
You just think of hippies, you think of
hippies.
Coachella, you think of whatever. You just don't think of like businesswoman. You don't think of a regular city woman.
Right. So we weren't going to use vegans, but then like when we really thought about who we are, and we could say, we don't have to be afraid. We can just say it's vegan because it's really vegan. Like there's no animal-derived components, materials, nothing. And so that became it. That hit vegan people. They liked it because we finally found the term to describe or market it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds bad because it sounds like we're trying to sell it to vegan people,
right?
But it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's the thing that a lot of people who are not really familiar with it have a negative connotation sometimes.
Yes.
There's also something apart from the business side with the whole fitness side that a lot of people think as a vegan you cannot become fit. This is also what we try to do with the interviews, showing there's a lot of fit athletes that are vegan.
Sure.
And also want to show there's a lot of business people doing vegan business.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just also like a growing movement, right?
Right.
This awareness. How do you see this awareness in Thailand nowadays, and how easy or difficult does it make a vegan company in Bangkok especially? I mean, are
I
people
think they've been
aware?
very receptive to it. What's that holiday here?
J. Thailand, I've been talking to them before. So Thailand is very familiar with veganism. We have been having vegan festival for years.
But it's religious. It's based.
But it's based on religion.
On Hinduism, isn't it?
No, it's Taoism.
Oh, Taoism. Okay.
It's Taoism plus Buddhism.
Okay.
So yes, Thailand is very familiar with veganism, and people have been receptive to the products we put out to them so far.
And we've been told repeatedly, and that's the other thing, is like we were told, well, no, people like leather. People equate quality with leather.
Right. That's
and that was another stumbling a hurdle. It wasn't a stumbling block. It was just a hurdle, And so we just stuck to our guns. We're like, well, sorry, we're not doing leather. But we're doing a synthetic leather that is almost as expensive as real leather, and so we can't just sit there and be afraid, And the great thing was that we first sold in Central Chitlom, which is the main central department store, of Bangkok, and nobody even questioned it. These women just came in. They were like, they love the shoes. They, it's comfortable. It's great. Never even questioned.
They didn't even ask what's vegan shoes.
They didn't even like.
They understand.
Yeah, like they're like, it looks like leather. It doesn't look like plastic. It's fine with me.
And it feels it has a good touch in it.
Right.
So yes. It's been good. It's been a good.
Yeah, it's been like. I'm very happy with. Yeah.
So that's also probably a proof that people walking in the department stores, they're not all vegans buying the shoes, but they're also just people liking the shoes. And it's like, I don't care if it's leather or similar looking product. It looks good to me. I like the style of it. I want to buy it. Right?
Exactly.
Yes. To general people, they like the styles. It's comfortable. They buy it. But for vegan, it's just a supportive reason why I want to buy this brand.
And also, the fact that we can say that this particular synthetic leather is 3 times stronger and lighter than actual animal skin, and it doesn't fall or break apart like regular synthetic PU.
It's not PU, it's not PVC.
It just doesn't. It's like that's like okay, wow, all right, no problem. It's like for me, like if I heard that as an outside consumer, I'd be like, okay, sold, no problem. I wouldn't even like question it, because I have some samples of my own personal like shoe designs that I've kept, and I've actually was picking them up a few days ago, and I just put my fingernail on, and literally the synthetic just started, and I just was like, it just like it literally just like falls apart. It just comes like right off, like peels right off, and I thought,
which is not the case with us.
I think that's a big thing that vegans probably have a problem. I mean, have an issue with, is that this leather falls apart. So they tend to buy shoes like what you're wearing, like fabric, canvas, things like that that are not synthetic leather.
Right.
And when it comes to other markets outside of Thailand, Bangkok, I mean, a lot of vegan movement is happening in Europe, especially in the US and California. Do you also plan to expand in these areas?
Yes, we definitely agree 100%. People all over the world will be receptive to the concept of our shoes.
And I think the more like there's documentaries out there about the slaughterhouses, the humane killing of animals, there's no such thing.
There's no such thing as inhumane killing.
Yeah, and we, I'm confessed non-vegan, but I don't eat much red meat, or pork, and so there is always like a guilty feeling in this is just me personally, it's nothing to do with anybody else, but it's like, oh, I wish I could be vegan, but I also happen to be allergic to gluten. I actually have to be allergic to dairy, so I am kind of vegan. I'm like 50% because I can't have dairy, so I also have dairy alternatives, but it's like there's a lot of the other alternatives that vegans can eat that I really can't eat, like legumes or beans, things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the U.S. it's much easier. Obviously people are much more receptive to it. And I was actually just speaking to a store last night in New York, and she was just she didn't care that it was vegan or anything. She was like, oh, they're water resistant? That's great. Like, she was like, that's awesome.
Right.
And, it's because to get water resistant leathers, quite, it's another level of treatment. But this is just naturally water resistant. So.
I mean, probably Bangkok proof is also needed in New York and other bigger cities.
We are not sure if you put out the word Bangkok proof, like how many people would understand.
I think they might go a different direction.
Yeah, they might think something else. So yeah.
Cool. So in general, what are your plans for the coming years? What do you want to achieve?
Well, sales-wise, obviously, we would like to grow. We want to grow to Asia. We want to be in Asia first because it's near us and we know how to handle operations and things. And then, to America, particularly in LA, where, the vegan fashion is the thing right now. They just had Vegan Fashion Week last week. So that's, I think, is our ultimate goal, to go there. And as for company aspects, we would like to be able to have a good team, like, multinational, employees within our team, small and compact, and grow together. And
get a flagship store.
Yeah, have a flagship store, and as for designs, what's your goal?
I just want to, I love sneakers. I mean trainers. Sorry, it's very American of me, but and my thing is like what we put in our shoes is the same equivalent of comfort of foam, the same kind of foam, and it's actually 25-30% more eco-friendly than regular foam. it's made from recycled. They recycle their own foam to make it, and they use castor oil instead of petroleum. And so I want to be able to just basically make beautiful, dressy shoes that are almost as comfortable as trainers. You know, nothing is going to beat a trainer, of course, but that's always been my goal. I love high heels, and I want to be able to create high heels that everybody can wear like all day long without. And as men, you don't understand, so I'm sorry, but you know, we have to carry an extra pair of shoes, and you know that we're going to wear at the office or leave them at the office,
and then we go on dates with boyfriends, and then we take them off, and then you know we have our sneakers, and we're just like switching shoes or flip flops or whatever, and so it's like having for me, what really hit me when I was working in New York City, and you see these women on the trains. It's just like you see in the movies, like Working Girl. You know, they're in these Reebok white sneakers, and then they get to the office and they change into their high heel pumps, and I was like. We have the technology. It's like, you know, the $6 million man. We have the technology. You know, we can make the shoes flexible. We can add more foam to it. We can make them soft. Why can't we just, you know, put them on a 3-inch heel or 2-inch heel and, you know, just call it a day, and you don't have to think about it ever again. So like when we saw that customer yesterday, just walking to have lunch with her friends, you know, in the middle of the day, you know, it's like. Me, I put on a pair of flats or sneakers or whatever. Like, I don't put on a pair of heels to go meet my friends for lunch. You know, that, so that was just really exciting because that showed to me, like, these are comfortable enough for me to do this. Right.
I can commute within Bangkok, and I can go have lunch with my friends in a pair of 3-inch heels. So, that's, like, for me, it's just kind of continuing that goal. It's just like, let's see where we can push it. Right. Let's see where we can go. Let's see what we can do. And you know, I'm never going to try to be, you know, the Manolo Blahniks of the world or the Christian Louboutins, because that's just another, you know, another level.
Right.
And we want to be able to make it as affordable and as comfortable for most of our, you know, the world.
Right. And also to add, we have been getting feedback from men.
Yes.
They want us to do men versions.
I just wanted to ask you about this actually.
Yeah.
Are you planning on a men's collection?
Well, we have been asked by repeatedly by men that do you do it for men, because they love the speedy styles, whatever style with the seahorse.
Oh, this is sorry. I'm putting my this style.
Cool.
She's wearing it right now.
So, and it has a little collapsible heel, so you can fold the heel down, or you can leave it up, and you just tuck the footbed under. So,
but then again, making shoes for men requires another set of design.
And most people don't realize that. It's a whole different factory. It's a whole different skill set.
Right.
But we've had Asian men, buy our low heels.
Yeah.
We've had
for themselves. Yeah.
Yes.
That's probably a good proof of concept.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So that, I think we could say maybe in the future we might have a men version.
Yeah.
Let us know, because I think we're also both potential customers for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
So if people want to learn more about you, find out about you, where can they find you? How can they follow you?
Right. So you can just go online, www.hexabangkok.com, and like the Instagrams and Facebook is the same name, Hexa Bangkok, and that be it. Well, for Thailand, we have a shop. We will have a shop in Emporium from 7, which is very, very excited about that.
Next month.
March 7.
Yeah.
And then in New York.
Yeah, in New York.
Just keep checking with us and see when it's going to be available.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
Yes.
Very exciting, yeah.
Yes, very exciting. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. It was super inspiring to hear your story. I actually could just listen to you for another hour or something, but I think we'll wrap it up. And we will link down below, of course, like your Facebook, Instagram, and so on, so people can find you. And curious to see what's going to happen for you in the future.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.